It's a bonus episode. We're talking the Christmas ride. Hit it. It was 2020. Totally Rad Christmas was released. Holodynamics had RGB 5mm strands, and Stefanie Davis wrote and directed a movie about the ups and downs of Christmas. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a very special guest. You'll know her as the writer and director of The Christmas Ride, Stefanie Davis. Stefanie, how's it going?
Going great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah, you actually you messaged me on Twitter, and I also had several of my podcast host friends said that they had been messaged as well, and I thought, yeah, this is a great opportunity to talk about this new movie coming out, and then I actually got a chance to see it, and yeah, I'm glad because I think everyone should see it. It starts off and it's very cute, but it also is very emotional and deep, and it's almost like a Twitter of movie kind of. And I mean that in the very best sense that, there's all these positive things, and then, it kind of goes deeper and it takes you to places that you might not expect. But in the end, you realize that you're better for it.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it right there.
Oh, right on. Sometimes I do that, but most of the time I miss. But yeah, it's a really cool film, and I dug it. So I guess my biggest question is what was your inspiration? What made you want to do this film?
Well, I was working out of town for about 7 months. I came home November of last year, and I've just been kind of itching to make something. Christmas is around the corner, and I just get so tired of seeing the same Hallmark movie or all the same Christmas movies. I'm like, man, what can I do that's a little different? Yeah. And my lead actress, Darian, she's very good at improv and improv trained. I'm like, let's do a mumblecore Christmas film. Like, this just sounds weird and crazy and fun, and let's just do it.
Nice.
So it's completely improvised. There was no script.
Oh, wow.
I made an outline of all the passengers, the people coming in and out, situations. And once my main character, she built her character, then I started bringing in the other actors, and we built their characters. And a lot of the conversations that they're having, they didn't know what each other was going to talk about. And it's just completely organic and very experimental. And it's one of those things that's like, it's very low budget. And so if it fails, then I'm okay with that. At least I learned something, but I actually was really excited and proud of what we came up with. And I think it's something that's really special.
See, that's really neat to me that it's all kind of improv because, you think movie, you think script, and you think, it's, and some actors, of course, like Bill Murray and things, famously will improv and do, certain takes. But, most of the time you think they pretty much stick to a script, and they kind of they have long conversations with the directors about their backstories and building their, like you said, building their character. But in this case, there was no script. So all the backstory and everything was just for them. So it was kind of like them just embodying this person because there was no real given, stage directions, for them to read and kind of internalize and say, okay, I think I know what's going on here. So, I mean, that's just amazing to me that you could put something together like that.
Yeah, the actors loved it because they got to really just create everything about it. And we all worked together to come up with, not only the situations, but also the tone. I already picked out the music that I wanted for each situation. And so before we even filmed, before we started driving, I would play the song for everybody that was involved in the scene so they can get an idea of their pacing, their tone, kind of things that they were feeling. And I also use color psychology. So the actors all had their color palettes on.
I did notice
to depict, to depict some of their, the emotions or how they were. And And so we just really just had so much fun with it. And it's just such a cool experience. I want to do it again.
Nice. Yeah, you should. I liked it. I really did. It's I'm glad you brought up the color thing because that's something I was going to bring up. I'm a huge like comic book fan and comic book movie fan, even though there a lot of them are generic nowadays. But I love that kind of thing. And I remember when Netflix was doing their Defenders series, like it or not, it essentially each one was kind of given a color, and so right away it kind of that drew me in because I immediately picked up on it. Wait a minute, that's more of like a purplish right there, and then there's that one in more of the red, and so I thought that was really cool way to kind of to go through everything. Now there was a little segment, almost like a montage, where things were a little bit faster paced, like around the half an hour mark or so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before we started really getting into the deeper
Yeah.
conversation, and I really enjoyed that as well. My favorite character is Chris. I gotta say, Chris was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He
For
had so much fun with it.
I bet I would. I mean, I can't pull off that role at all. But
Mm-hmm.
if I did, I would want to make it my own and just have a lot of fun with it as well. And you
Yeah.
could tell that the characters are, the actors themselves are just interacting very well. And was there a lot of direction given in that part, or did you just kind of like said, "Here's this, okay, make it work"?
Yeah, I mean, it was the most of the direction was given to Darian, the lead, because
Gotcha.
everybody that was coming and going really had like a connect with theirs. But
Mm-hmm.
with her, it was letting her know, okay, you just dropped off this passenger. This is happening. This is the information you've given these other passengers. This time, you talk about your roommates or something like it was, that way she's not having the same conversation over and over and over, and the audience gets bored with her.
Right,
But just
right.
really that we get to learn something new about her each passenger that comes in and how she's interacting with them and how it's affecting her ultimately. So it was mostly towards her, and because everybody else, like, we all talked backstory and we'd have phone
Mm-hmm.
conversations and just kind of get an idea of what they were bringing to the table, and everybody just knocked it out of the ballpark. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the father. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, that one, as a dad, that one got me. Like that one got me
Yeah.
bad.
I still cry every time I watch that part. It just he's one of our well-known improv actors around here. I never worked with him before,
Oh, okay.
and he mostly does comedy. And so I'm like, I wonder how he's going to do it. This like really dramatic role. We did a first round, started rolling around, and then I got to a point. I'm like, okay, can we pull over for a second? I just need a minute. Like, I'm the one that was like, I need a minute so we could go again.
So when you actually filmed, you were all in the car together?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so it was the passenger Darian
Mm-hmm.
as Georgia, I think is the name of her character,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Georgia, and then the camera and then you. Wow,
I'm the camera.
you're the
So
camera. Oh,
I
wow.
was a
Okay.
one woman crew. Yeah.
Wow.
So
See, that's
the
even cooler to
idea,
me.
yeah, the idea is that the audience is in the car with her the whole time.
And it did feel like that. Yes.
hmm
Hmm.
Yeah, because I'm handheld. The actors had their lavalier mics on.
Gotcha.
I also had a boom mic that I'm like holding in between my legs, and my sound mixers at my feet. I'm holding the camera and just like trying to get, the best angles possible. I normally start with the other actors, and then I would do the angle with Georgia
With Georgia.
after
Hmm.
that. The tricky part was when there were two passengers and Georgia,
Yes.
to be able to get everybody. So there was moments where I would get the two people in the front seat or the two people on the one side, and
Right.
then we'd switch, and I would switch and be a POV from one of the other characters. And I think it still worked out pretty well.
It did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is definitely that the audience is riding with her and getting to experience this with her.
Yeah, well, that definitely played out, and you did it beautifully because I mean, I really did feel like I was there. When the two college buddies are,
Yeah.
when they're just kind of going back and forth, and I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was a little, and this kind of doesn't really have much to do with the actual creation of it, but I was a little envious because I don't, I mean, I love my college roommate and all my buddies I made, but we don't get together and just like
Mm-hmm.
go have fun every year. So that when I saw that, I mean, even that kind of got me in the mood, and I thought, man, that's awesome. And I'd love to do that, especially like on Christmas Day, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that was really neat. Was
Yeah,
that something
I
that?
know people around here
Uh-huh.
that go to Universal in Orlando for
Gotcha.
Christmas every year because they don't have
Hmm.
family
Right.
around here. So they
Right.
all get together and they go do it. And I'm like, man, that would be really cool to show, especially because people may not realize that theme parks like that are open on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm used to everybody. You're just with your family on that day, and then maybe you
Hmm.
go see your grandma, and
Yeah.
and then
And that's the
and
whole point of the
that's
film too, is just to show so many different sides of it, and not just the happy family stuff, but sometimes people don't want to be around their families. There's toxic relationships, or
hmm
they've lost a loved one recently.
hmm
It's the highest time of depression.
It
And
is, right.
so it was very important to kind of show a lot of these different sides, and to have someone like Georgia, who is just very bright and cheery and loving and open, just kind of absorbing all of that.
hmm
And kind of her naivety is challenged
hmm
while experiencing all of it.
Yeah, that there was a couple of things that hit home. I mentioned the dad, and forgive me, I haven't even gotten through the main plot, and we will, I guess. But the dad got me, and especially the lady that lost her mom as
Yeah.
well. And my grandma passed away. I mean, it's been, let's see, my daughter's 8, so 6 years ago. But I remember that first Christmas, because she passed away like a month before her birthday. It was like right
Hmm.
around this time of the year. And then that first Christmas, my mom was, I mean, it wasn't the same, and every year we would always go see my grandma for Christmas.
Hmm.
So, that kind of hit home a little bit too. Now, I mean, I loved my grandma. We were close, but we weren't like close. And so,
Yeah.
one of the things and I forget her name, I'm sorry, but the character who lost her mom, she mentions is her brother, and they're not very close, and that she wants to use that as a way to get closer. And I mean, all these little things here and there that really, just as they say, got me in the feels. And you know, so that was very, very effective way to emphasize that. There are times where people that maybe they're contemplating suicide, maybe they're just so depressed that they can barely move. I mean, just all these things that. Yeah, I'm glad that you're raising awareness of these, because for me, Christmas is, and I work at a Christmas store, so it's like it's
Hmm.
always fun and jolly, and it's a wonderful time of year. And my daughter was born like right after Christmas, like just a couple of days later. So the whole time for me has always been amazing. And so to actually make me feel like there are people out there where it's not this jolly amazing time. I mean, I think you did just an excellent job with that. So
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm so
Uh,
excited to hear everybody's thoughts on it after they watch it, and just see, my goal is just that if you can connect with one of those passengers, or even just
mhm,
with Georgia, I did my job. Like that's
mhm,
exactly what is. Just if you can see someone on screen in the movie, and you're just like, you know what, that feels like me. Like a lot of times I feel like Georgia. Like there's times where I'm just so blind to the outside world, and then
mhm.
if a friend of mine is having a hard time during the holidays, then it kind of opens my eyes a little bit more to what's happening in the world, and just makes you more aware.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something that we all should be. I mean, if everyone were more, empathetic, I think the world would be a better place. And so
Yeah.
it is something that we should all strive to be a little bit, just a little bit more caring. I mean, Bill Murray says it in Scrooged. It's one of those, you get greedy for that feeling, and you want to help people, and I kind of, there's a little bit of that in Georgia as well, where she's,
Hmm.
she just wants to make, she wants to help people. She wants to make their day better, even if it's just on like a little 15-minute drive to get to their destination.
Yeah.
Um, which I guess I should probably talk about the actual plot now. So essentially, Georgia Wright, I believe is her last
Hmm.
name. She's there on Christmas Day. She works with children most of the time, but as her side gig or her side hustle, she is like an Uber driver kind of a thing. And so she's picking up. It's basically her day picking up people and talking with them, and just driving them to their destinations, but helping them in certain ways and learning from them in certain ways. And
Mm.
that's basically the plot there, if you want to nutshell it. But it starts off where she's actually there talking with her dad. And that kind of also hits home, because I don't get to go see my parents every year for Christmas, because they live about 10 hours south of me, but my in-laws
Mhm.
live about 15 minutes away, so we trade. So this year we'll be up here for Christmas, and we'll spend Christmas with my in-laws, and then next year we'll go down there. So that means for Christmas I will be having to call them via Zoom or Skype or
Yeah.
FaceTime or whatever it is. So that that kind of right away hit home for me, just because I know what that's like, and wanting to be with him, and feeling like we're kind of missing, but we're still kind of there, but it's just not quite complete. And so I did love that playfulness between her and her dad,
Hmm.
and how she gets him the little tree hat, and
Yeah.
just these little touches that and she says, it's not a lot, don't get your expectations up, kind of a thing for his presence. But I mean, it's the kind of thought and playfulness and trying to, like, as I said, cheer each other up, that really, I think, kind of plays well.
Hmm.
And Darian did a great job with that. So yeah, that's how it starts. And then they kind of wish each other Merry Christmas, and then she's on her way. And
Hmm.
I love how she's got the Santa hat. Her car is decked out with like the tinsel and was that all your idea, or was that
Oh yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, if we're gonna spend the majority of the movie in a car, I have to decorate the car.
Well, yeah,
Like,
yeah. I just
it's
didn't
got
know
to
if
be
that was yours, or,
Christmas.
or if that was something maybe Darian had brought up, or so that's
She
cool.
came up with the quotes and stuff. Like, I gave her a sticker book and like some papers and stuff, and she started decorating it, and then I put the tinsel in, and then her costuming and stuff. But she played around with the stickers and like placed them all about where it seemed natural for her to kind of look at them as she's driving.
Right on. Yeah, it was very festive, and she even, her hair was green, and
Yeah.
in fact, one of the characters mentions, it's Grinch and Santa and kind of a thing, and
Mhm.
so, so I really enjoyed that. It really set the mood. It did.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that. But she picks up several passengers, and as I mentioned, the first ones are all just much lighthearted, just very lighthearted, kind of cheerful. There's an engaged couple that,
Hmm.
she's the first person that they tell, kind of a thing, and
Hmm.
a girl who's meeting her, I guess, boyfriend's family for the first time, and
Yeah.
the two college roommates, and each time they're going through their stories, and she's kind of talking with them, sometimes giving advice, sometimes just saying a little something that might make them feel better on Christmas Day. And yeah, it's really cool the way it's done. So I guess my question is, was it your conscious decision to move from more cheery to the big oomph of feelings there at the end?
Yeah, I had originally them in a different order,
Uh-huh.
and kind of played around with the order. And I had a couple filmmakers that I trust watch it, and one of them kind of mentioned, he's like, when she goes to talk to dad for the second time, she's really beat down. So like there has to be some things that really pack a punch. And for me, like I've been watching it over and over and over as I'm
Right,
editing it,
right,
so I
right.
need fresh eyes to help me see that. And it, like, once I changed the order to kind of gradually getting more and more serious, it really worked out really well to kind of get that punch. And then of course whenever it's dark, everybody's stories are a lot more heartfelt and kind of rough, because as Christmas goes on, things happen during your day, which can ultimately kind of drag you down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just having, and once we got to that montage too, I was like, this is probably a good time where we can start like throwing in the
Now we can start.
feels. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because you've gotten to see quite a few, we've got to know Georgia now,
Mm-hmm.
get to know the situation. And so now it's like, okay, let's start playing around with some more emotions and kind of get a little bit more real about the holidays.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Yeah, it was a good. I liked the order, so
Mhm.
that made me wonder if that was a conscious decision or not. But I know exactly what you mean, because I'm also a composer, and sometimes you're writing these things and you're living with it, sometimes for months trying to get it
Yeah.
perfect. You think it's great, and then someone hears it and it's like, that's, I don't know about that, and so you have to rethink it, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, this part needs to be over here, and
Mhm.
if I just edit it a little bit more, then now it works and now it's great. So I completely get that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, as I mentioned, my favorite character is Chris. He was
Mhm.
just he was like a breath of fresh air, because he was still part of that montage where everything was still nice and lighthearted, but it was just so fun. And you can
Yeah.
tell he's enjoying it. I mean, he even says, I love the heck out of it, kind of a thing. And
Hmm.
so it's, but we get him, and there's a message at the end, and spoiler alert here, but there's a message at the end where yes, that is Santa Claus, and
Yep.
I loved that. I thought that was so cool.
I figured if I got to make a Christmas movie, I have to have like a hidden incognito Santa or something, something magical in there somehow. Like try to like get the checklist, hot cocoa, opening presents,
Yes,
dad,
yeah.
things like that.
Okay, I was wondering. Okay, because I knew that something seemed funny, and he said Chris, and he said some people call me a big elf. I live way up
Hmm.
north. I work with kids, and I thought, well, I don't know about that. And then at
He
the
he
very
really
end, yeah.
had fun with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell that they're just, their banter is great.
Hmm.
They're back and forth, and she just kind of giggles at some of the things he says, and I mean it's really nice, and I love the way she laughs because it's kind of that like fun, nervous but innocent laugh as well,
Hmm.
and so she's kind of taking it in, but they're also strangers, and so there's like just a little bit of brittleness in there. So it's just one of those things that I don't know if you told her to do that or if she just did it naturally.
That's all Darian.
Okay,
So,
okay.
for the past, I think 4 years, she's worked at Busch Gardens as an elf in Santa's house.
Oh,
So she
nice.
is Christmas. Like she loves Christmas. And that is her natural, just like adorableness that she brings. And
Hmm.
that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, if I'm making a Christmas movie, Darian has to be the one like at the lead. Like she is Christmas.
How long have you known her?
About 6 years. We started. I worked Howl-O-Scream with her in Busch Gardens, where we were cannibals running around scaring people as scare actors.
Nice.
And just like as I was making short films and stuff,
Hmm.
she came on board for a couple of my short films, and we've been friends for that long amount of time. And just when I'm just like I need to make a Christmas movie, I need to talk to Darian about this. Like this is right up her alley. Let me see if she's into it. And man, she really rose to the challenge. She did such a great job. And I'm really excited for people to get to know her like in this movie.
Nice. So how different was this from, say, directing things like, Hot Mess in a Wedding Dress or The Skin You're In or any of those other shorts that you've done? Like,
Yeah, it's definitely different because like with Hot Mess, that was a feature that like I had all of my shots all planned out. It was scripted with some improv. Like I always like to have the actors improv because it
hmm.
feels more natural. So we did have some improv moments with Hot Mess, and Hot Mess is very much like a rated R kind of vulgar
Yeah,
language type deal,
right,
where
right.
Christmas Ride is no
Not,
language
yeah, yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, and that part
Like,
actually felt, and forgive me for interrupting, but that part actually felt like Hallmark, Lifetime, those kind of movies where, and so there is like a thread. I know you're trying not to do something like like that, but you kind of don't want to, I mean, you think of like the
yeah,
movies that have endured. I mean, except for maybe Die Hard, but like all the others, there's not really very many with foul language. I mean, even
right.
Christmas Story, it's only I didn't say fudge. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's so even then, and the old man, cursing or whatever, it's
Hmm.
I mean, you don't hear it. So I kind of, I mean, I really latched onto that because it felt like a Christmas movie,
Hmm.
where you don't get any of that vulgar stuff. I mean, even the purple sheep,
Hmm.
even then she, you would expect someone like that to perhaps, I mean, I suppose, cuss more or just be a little more diamond in the roughish, but no, it was, even that was kind of muted, although you could feel the intensity of her feelings,
Oh
just,
yeah.
but language wise it was nice, and so it did have that thread of continuity with like previous Christmas movies, and so I enjoyed
Yeah.
that. Hmm.
Normally I'm all like, I don't care about the cuss words. Let's keep going. But for this, like with the genre, it's more friendly. And especially because I don't want someone to shut it off because they heard, an F bomb
Right, right,
or something. I want them to be able to soak in the message. And so
right.
by keeping it language free, I feel like that'll definitely help people to, really embrace it and soak it in.
Right, right. And it's a good message. It really is. And uh, so when you're saying you kind of wanted to show these different sides, was that your intention from the very beginning? Or
Yes.
okay, so that was something that you planned like right away.
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The outline was definitely like I wrote on a list of all the things that happen in the holidays and just like was just writing out just this long list of things. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I make these guys passengers, and kind of personified them a little bit, and even thought, okay, who is an actor who could really pull this off? Cool. This act, Buzz
Mm-hmm.
and Jan are like the cute little grandparents. Like, oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
all the stories that they gave were true. Like
Oh
they
wow.
did live in Germany and all that. And like honestly, I'm just sitting there back with the camera, just listening, and we're just enjoying them just
Well,
telling all these stories.
that is the best part of an improv script, I suppose, is you can
Right.
really just kind of discover it with the actors.
And
Uh,
a lot of the actors, they brought in a lot of their own personal things. Like
hmm
the girl who lost her mom, she actually lost her father not too long before we filmed it. And so she's like, I have a lot of things I can pull from. And a couple of them, even a couple of the actors were telling me too, it's like, I have some issues I need to work out. So this is probably going to be like a therapy session, and we're just going to see how it goes. And just really came up natural. And like at the end, they're like, man, I just feel so much better. It's like, well, it looked great. So, okay.
Yeah. How many takes did you normally do for each actor?
Two.
Two. Okay.
No more than two. Like we were in the car for some of these scenes for like an hour and a half tops. Like
Wow.
it was very quick, and it's just mostly because everybody was on their game.
hmm
Everybody just did such a great job for those little quick montagey moments. Each of those guys were in for half an hour,
Oh, nice.
and I had the little bits that I needed them to say for the montage,
hmm
and then I did a take with them where they just kind of riffed so that they had something for their demo reels too, like just something to show their improv skills.
Nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really cool.
So I might release some extended clips
Yeah, yeah, there you
of that
go.
of those conversations.
On the DVD release, yeah, you'll
Yeah.
have the special features. I like that. Uh, yeah, so she's picking up the people. She's having a good time. She even gives out little. Were they candy canes? Is that what it was? I couldn't.
Yeah, the little candy, the peppermint candy, like soft ones.
Oh, I
I ate
gotcha.
I ate like half the bucket.
See, that's why
I love those.
I could never make a movie because like I would always be at the craft services table or something.
Craft services was in the trunk
There you go.
the whole time.
Yeah, so she's continues, but more and more the stories people are telling, or they get a little heavier. So there's a
Mhm.
girl whose girlfriend just broke up with her, and
Yes.
like she was supposed to meet her mom that day, and her mom was even preparing like the girl's favorite. I mean, it
Hmm.
was like geared towards his girlfriend who's now not there, and you could feel like the resentment and the anger and the the abandonment that she's feeling.
Hmm.
uh she did a great job with that. And I mean, everyone, I know I keep saying this, but it's true, everyone really did a great job, and they
Yeah.
emoted very well, and they all just kind of made it seem fluid and natural and human, which I
Yeah.
enjoy. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of these Hallmark movies. And don't get me wrong, I love Hallmark. I can put it on, turn my brain off, and just enjoy the
Hmm.
Christmas of it all. But yeah, no one's really human in these movies. I mean, they're like caricatures of humans, of like the perfect woman who maybe just works too much, or the man who's like too stuffy. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
it's a one-dimensional character. And so what I liked about a lot of these is that you could feel the dimension, and you
Hmm.
could really feel that. So you're like you said, they brought their A game, and
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed that. So I guess it means it was pretty easy to direct.
It really was. I'm like, okay, I need to do this more often because it really was just kind of effortless. And
hmm
I mostly focused on the camera. And I'm naturally a script supervisor. So
Right,
I'm always thinking about continuity.
right.
But all the actors were also very cognizant of their own continuity. So that really helped.
hmm
Especially Darian. She was really good with her own continuity. Like if we were talking about situations, like, well, I talked about New York for two other passengers. So I'm not going to mention New York this time. I'm like, great, let's talk about your roommates, or let's talk about your dad, or
hmm
something. She's like, okay. And then would change the conversation up a little bit. And then
Right.
there was moments where it was just me and her in the car. I'm like, all right, let's sing some Christmas songs.
Yes, and I did notice that it's funny because even the Christmas songs she's singing kind of seem to go from like really cheery and up-tempo numbers to slower and slower, like Silent Night and
The Silent Night is hands down my favorite part. Like, man,
yeah.
I'm like tearing up as she was doing it. Because we did it a couple times, and then I reminded her of what she had just went through with the passenger,
Mm-hmm.
and so then she like closed her eyes for a second. We got back on the road. We were in silence for like 10 minutes, and then she sang it, and like it got to a point I'm like, okay, I think we have it. We're gonna just like, I always know that if I'm tearing up,
Mm-hmm.
then like we got it.
Then
There's
it's
no
a
need
good
to do
take. Yeah.
anything more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm very like emotionally driven when it comes to her performance, and if something like gets me tearing, I'm like, okay, that's it. We got it.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's definitely full of emotion. So yeah, she more and more the stories are getting heavier. She picks up a man who was I mean, they don't really specify, but it makes it sound like the wife cheated on him or something. Again, they went through a divorce. She got full custody. I mean, he even says, after she did what she did, and she got full custody, and he's like so beaten down from life that I mean, he doesn't even I mean, Christmas doesn't register with him. It's just someday, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of talks it through with him, which is really cool. And I mean, she was just very, very, just her presence was there. And a lot of people just aren't there when they're listening. They'll just kind of tune out and, or just kind of nod their heads and, listen on a surface level. But it seemed like she really kind of got it. And so she was able
Mm-hmm.
to, to really work with him. And she even helped him like, hey, my therapist says, maybe just write it down. It can be anything, a wish, a want, a venting, whatever. And so he writes something down and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it got me because I couldn't even imagine my kids being
Yeah.
taken away.
Me too. I didn't know what he wrote until after he left. I looked at the paper and I'm like, Matt, how could you do that to me? Like that's just so, oh my God. But the point with him too was that we don't talk about depression with men very often, and
No, you really don't.
vulnerability.
Hmm.
And I thought that was another good opportunity to kind of bring that in, especially with the holidays. Like if you're without your child on the holiday, that's extremely impactful. And
Hmm.
it was really kind of eye-opening and lethargic just to watch the two of them just kind of interact about that. And the things that they were coming up with it was solid gold. Like that one, I think we did one take with Matt, and then I'm like, well, I guess we need to do another just so I have something else. But that was perfect. And then I turned over to Georgia and got her, and like I think I got two takes of each of them, but I really only need one of each because they both nailed it.
Yeah.
That scene was really good to film.
Yeah, I can see why. And so afterwards she goes back home and she has to call her dad. I mean, at this point, after being so cheery and laughing and giggly, I mean, now it's like, wow, that was heavy. I need something. Please help me. And he kind of talks her through it. And he's like, you can do this. You're helping people. That's who you are. And so then she goes back out there, and the stories keep getting more powerful and powerful. So
Yeah.
there's the lady who was adopted, and I have a few friends that are adopted, but I mean, they were all told. And so, I mean, I can't even imagine not being told. And even when they decided that they wanted to go find their biological parents, I mean, even then, their adopted parents were like so supportive and
Hmm.
everything. So to hear her say the opposite was like, wow. I mean, that's you don't think about that, but there really are some
Hmm.
people that would, instead of being supportive, would be embarrassed and almost like feel threatened.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I wasn't good enough for you, or like she said, ungrateful. They called her
Yeah.
ungrateful. And I mean, so that kind of thing really again made me kind of just stop and think, because you never know what someone's going through. You never know who said what to them on a certain day at a certain time that might have affected them in whatever way.
Hmm.
So it was definitely something that was, like I said, it made me stop and think. And so it was really nice. That was a good touch there that you put in.
Yeah, and Kelly just really, that was so beautiful. That monologue that we had when she was sitting at the red light, and her just emoting and talking about how, she says, I know I should let it go, but I can't.
But I
And
can't.
just,
Hmm.
yeah, that part was just, I love that moment. And it was great that we were stopped because I could keep the camera as still as possible and just really be able to get this beautiful performance that she's bringing out. And just I loved that. And then we brought in the next passenger as a shared ride, so it's two
Right.
strangers.
Two straight, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Hey, what's your deal?" And
Yeah.
and and then she just kind of like tells her the stranger the same thing, after she just
Mm-hmm.
told this other stranger. But it also, I mean, she was trying to empathize with her. She's like, "Yeah, family, they're terrible. I don't want to be with mine." But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of make small talk sometimes and you don't know what to
Mm-hmm.
say, but sometimes it's the right thing and sometimes it's just like I don't know what to say. And so she kind of played that balance very well as well, that there's that delicate line that we cross sometimes where we want to be we want to be supportive and we want to kind of say the right thing, but we also don't know what to say because we're not in that situation. So she just,
Yeah.
I thought that played really well. And then of course her line about, some families have the black sheep. I'm more like the purple sheep. I mean, that's just
Mm-hmm.
fun. That was a great line.
Yeah, that was all Stefanie. She was great.
But she kind of goes into her own thing, and it was perfect because I feel like she really captured that. you know um I'm kind of an outsider. I don't like my family. They treat me differently, but at the same time she didn't give away too much. Like there wasn't that
Mm-hmm.
much detail, and that seemed like exactly what you do when you're riding in an Uber.
Yeah.
You're talking to the person, but you don't really know them, so you don't go into it. But at the same time sometimes you do. It's just not in that specifics way. And so I again, that felt really really real. And I think that's what I love about this movie most, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's real. and
Yeah.
and we don't get a lot of that, unfortunately. I mean, kudos to you. You did a great job with that. So
Thank you. I'm like I said, I'm so excited to just kind of see what people think about it and what people connect to, what their interpretations are too, because
right. Hmm.
there have been some people that have watched it,
Hmm.
that the way that they've interpreted certain scenes has been very different.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, okay, cool. Like it's definitely a different way to look at it, or the way that the characters were kind of giving their backstory. If that person who's watching connected it in a different way, then
Hmm.
it was kind of neat. It's kind of neat to hear how people are interpreting everything.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. And it's just, I mean, I'm pretty surface level. I'm a guy from the
Hmm.
'80s, so it's not. I'm not too deep, but there was a lot of it that I did really enjoy just because of how deep it got.
Hmm.
And so I mean, I might not have the most poetic interpretations, but I think that I tend to, at least in general, be just an everyman kind of guy. I hope that when I say that someone who watches it can kind of feel what these characters are going through, and really start to maybe think about the other person, I hope that represents at least a good deal of us.
Yeah.
But finally, we get to the very last passenger, which was the girl who lost her mom. Georgia had lost her mom. Was it 10 years prior, I think?
10 years prior. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. And so they kind of were able to just bond. And she was trying to say the things that she felt, but she also knows that, look, it doesn't get better. I mean, it gets better, but it doesn't get better.
Hmm.
And so they have this beautiful moment where she just kind of takes her to the spot, and they're both just kind of like sharing a blanket because it's Christmas. It's a little chilly, even though it's Tampa.
And I would say Tampa does get chilly at night.
Does it really?
Around, yeah, that night was pretty chilly. It was in the 40s, I think. Like
Oh
it was
wow.
kind of chilly that night.
Well, I guess it's still December. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
we get
yeah,
like 3 days of winter.
well, yeah, that's kind of like here. I'm in Texas. It's the same thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
we never get snow. We get ice. That's about it. It seems worse for some reason, but yeah, it's so they're just wrapped in a blanket. And they're just talking, and both of them. They're like, I'm glad you picked me up. I'm glad you stayed, because the girl, while they were talking, she was ready to like just get out. She's like, just drop me here. Forget it.
Yeah.
I'll find my way. And she, and George is able to convince her, no, stay in the car. Let me just take you. And as they're talking and writing, she they can really connect with each other on that level of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a shame how loss can bring us together. It's one of the great tragedies of life that sometimes it takes loss in order for someone to be close to you. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happens in this situation. But through that loss, they're able to find that closeness. They're able to connect to another human being at a time when they don't think they can, and it gives each one of them that support and that drive that they need to go on. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought it was like just a great way, just the perfect ending to this film. Just there's hope. There is a hope, and even if it takes 10 years, it's a hope that you eventually will get there, and you'll get to that place of healing and reconciliation. And just a great sentiment, and something that we should always remember, because I mean life is full of loss. And so we always have to keep moving forward, but with an eye on the past, but keep moving forward and know that there are people out there, like Georgia says, connect with anyone. There are people who love you and they'll help you. And it's something that we tend to forget, especially in that
Yeah.
moment. We're so focused on that moment that we forget about the rest. And so the fact that Georgia herself had gone through it, even if she's not all the way there,
Right.
she's farther enough along that she can say, hey, it's going to get better. It might not get better right now. It might not get better 10 years from now, but it will get better. And while it's not better because the person you love isn't here anymore, it will be better because you keep moving on and you get closer to the other, these other people around you. So,
Mm-hmm.
she mentions her brother, I know you're not close, maybe you'll get close. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I love that sentiment, and I love that thought that, you can get closer to someone. Even if it takes a tragedy, it doesn't matter, because maybe that's what was supposed to happen so that you can find that closeness and be a family again. And
Mm-hmm.
oh man, it got me.
I know that part at the end always gets me.
It was pretty rad.
Like
Yeah.
I'm blubbering behind the camera while they were filming it, and that was one take for each of them. Like
Yeah.
it was so great. And especially whenever actors cry, it's very
Hmm.
physically daunting and
Hmm.
like very taxing. And with them, like I handed them my phone with the song that was going to be playing while they um during their scene,
Hmm.
walked away for like 2 minutes, and I came back and they both were like already tears. I'm like, okay, we're ready. Here we go.
Quick, film it.
Right.
And cut. Check it. Check the gate. Oh man. So yeah, that's the movie. It's beautiful. It's well done. I mean, I have to ask, what would you say is your like happiest moment or memory of filming this? If you could pick one spot.
Oh,
And
it's
I know
also
it's
fun.
tough. I
So
know it's tough.
I every year for Christmas Eve, we drive around for the Christmas lights, and so one of my favorite times was
Nice.
Darian and I just driving around my neighborhood. As I'm like filming all the Christmas lights, and there was a couple neighborhoods. I'm like, oh, I love that house. Let's go over here, and then just kind of like looking at everybody's decorations and filming that part, because Christmas lights are just so fun.
Hmm.
And so I thought of like putting Christmas lights in the car once it got dark, and that really helped kind of light made a reason for there to be more light inside of the car
Right.
too, so we
Hmm.
could see everybody. And just Christmas lights in general bring me so much joy.
I know what you mean. My wife, she the only thing she ever wants for her birthday, because her birthday is December like December 16th. And
Mhm.
so the only thing she ever wants is to drive around. Like there's this one neighborhood that goes like all out for
Mhm.
Christmas. And so we usually just have some pizza in the car and some hot chocolate, and the kids, and we're just driving around looking at Christmas lights and eating pizza and drinking hot chocolate. And I mean it's fun, and it's like our tradition now. And you can just see, not only on our faces but the kids as well, they're just all lit up. It's just one of those special things that
Yeah.
happens in life. So I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So for me, with of course, this, I didn't grow up with this film like I usually do on my podcast. But so my happiest moment, I would say, I really, of course, I mentioned Chris, but
Mhm.
the part I really loved most, I think, was when she's talking with her dad, and it's fun. It's Christmas. They're opening presents. It's
Hmm.
that feeling of Christmas morning and family. And so I think that out of the whole thing, the happiest moment for me was that
Hmm.
part there. Yeah. But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call "To the Max."
Right.
So this is where we do our best impression of our favorite part of the of the show.
Mhm.
Then I put it up to the listeners, and they vote on who did the better job, and the winner gets a totally rad Christmas sticker. But I think you're safe. I've never won yet, so I'm either really terrible at impressions, or they just don't want me to win and have any bragging rights. So as the guest, I'll let you go first. Just kind of set up the scene, and we'll go from there.
This is from one of the montages, and it was one of my favorite parts whenever they were going around is the a cup of hot chocolate on the second day of Christmas my true love gave to me, and then it like cut to the next person. But Mary Rachel and Eric just had way too much fun with that. They were singing the 12 days of Christmas about hot chocolate, and I just loved it.
Oh man, now I want to hear 12 Days of Christmas about hot chocolate.
That might be a bonus thing I put on YouTube or something.
For real, you should. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds great. Oh man, that was good. I got to follow that. So as I mentioned it, I don't know how many millions of times already. I'm going to go
Hmm.
with Chris. I liked it because he kind of had a little bit of a southern,
Hmm.
a little southern drawl there, which is kind of funny because he's from up north. But so he goes, "I'm kind of an ambassador, kind of a spokesperson. I do a lot of work with youth, children. I enjoy the heck out of it." That's terrible, but,
Well, he's also like, I'm gonna go and have a drink with a little lady.
yeah, yeah. See, oh man, you upstaged me on that one. So okay,
Yeah, Shannon's from he's in Atlanta, Georgia, and
there you go. Yeah,
he works in like Fort Lauderdale and Universal as Santa a lot. And so
nice.
he was the only actor that I looked through Actors Access because I'm like, I have to have the perfect person for this.
Right. Yeah.
And he had so much fun with it. He's like, he came in with this Hawaiian shirt and whatnot, and he's like,
I did notice that.
he's
Yeah.
like, you all right if I do this Southern accent? I'm like, yes, please do that. Please do that.
It was good. It was really
It
good.
was so fun.
Yeah, I really liked it, and he even had the little like the little man bun in the back.
Hmm.
Which
Oh
is
yeah.
it's definitely like okay, Santa. I mean he think there's even a line in there about I worked a lot. I had a late night last night.
Hmm.
Uh, he had that like okay, I did my work for the year. It's time for vacation for a bit.
Yep. What better place to do it than Tampa?
Exactly. Yeah, might as well go to Florida. It's fun.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man, that was great. So listeners, vote. Was it Stephanie or myself? And I can tell you, it definitely was not myself. But so yes, you did a great job on that.
Thank you.
But I got to ask. I mean, GI Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What would you say is the other half?
I think maybe believing.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like it's one thing to know something, but it's another to believe in it. Especially nowadays, like the things that we think that we know about current events or even like our own history and stuff, but believing in something is it kind of completes the cycle, I think.
Nice, nice. That's better than mine. Mine. If knowing is half the battle, then the other half is being on the lookout for Santa appearing on Christmas Day. He needs all the help he can get.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh man. So Stephanie, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun talking with you. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster as well. It's a fantastic film. Why don't you tell us where we can find it or when it's coming
Mhm.
out and all that as well?
Yeah, so I'm self-distributing it.
Okay.
So it'll be available on Amazon to rent or buy on November 1st, and also in the US, UK, and Germany. And then it'll also be available on Vimeo on demand, same rent or buy. And right now I'm working with aggregators to try to get it on more channels. I'm hoping to get it on Tubi TV in
Ooh,
time
yeah.
for Christmas. And then, if all goes well next year, hopefully I can get a DVD stuff. That stuff takes a lot of time and some money
Yeah, I
to get
understand.
done.
Yeah.
But I mean, Christmas movies tend to do well with DVDs. So next Christmas, I'm hoping to have it on DVD with, like the special extras and commentary tracks and things like that.
Nice. Yeah. So definitely be on the lookout. And social media, can they find you?
Yes. I am Stefanie Davis, and Stefanie is spelled with an F instead of a PH. The movie is on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Christmas Ride Movie on Instagram and Facebook, and then just Christmas Ride, I think, on Twitter because it was too many letters.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
And then on Bouncy Boxer Media's YouTube channel is where the trailer is. So you can take a look at the full trailer, see what you think, and there'll be more things coming soon.
Right on. Looking forward to it. Yeah, for sure. And on that note, let me just thank you one more time for coming on. It was fun. And
this was fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, anytime. Yeah, we'll have to get you back on to do something about the 80s.
Yes.
Oh, like I like to say, it's the baddest decade ever. But anyway, but I'm old, so it's okay. But
I was born in the 80s. I love the 80s.
Oh, all right. Well, then I like it. I like it. But on that note, I will say the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available today, providing suicide prevention and mental health crisis assistance at 1-800-273-8255 and through online chats. 988 is not a nationwide calling code right now, but it will be in 2022. Mm-hmm. And you can check us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling like Georgia, trying to help everyone she meets, leave us a review on iTunes. Not only does it help us reach more people, but you also get a free sticker. Now, don't forget to vote. Later, dudes.
So, what's the plan for Christmas?
Actually, I just got a notification last night that there's a surge in prices and there's all these people, high demand, wanting rides. So, I don't know, I thought I'd pick up a couple people and make a couple extra bucks.
Christmas is a hard time of year.
It started out really nice.
The houses are so like fairy tale houses.
Cobblestones?
Yes.
Latke. Yep. Fried potatoes.
Potatoes, that's right.
Fried potato pancakes.
We actually just got engaged yesterday, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve morning.
Oh. And then there was just such good momentum, and then it just came to a screeching halt. Once reality hit, and I realized that not everybody has a good situation, and sometimes people's families are taken from them. I feel spent. I feel like I can't help them because they're just so lost in it. They're just drowning in their own stuff. And I know that I'm not supposed to fix everybody, but I thought just something nice for somebody else would make the season brighter.
Some people have it tough. Some people have a hard time accepting positive affirmation or a smile or a kind word.
Told her I loved her. She breaks up with me.
You could just let me out right here. It's fine.
No.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine.
No. I'll get you to where you need to be. It's okay. It's okay.
This time of year, you should be closer to family. And I am just so okay being as far away as possible.
Maybe I am being selfish. Maybe I am being ungrateful, and maybe I should just let it go. But I can't.
Some people feel they're not worthy of it, or they don't deserve it. But those are the ones that you really need to spend that time with. They're the ones you really need to take that extra minute. That's the gift of Christmas.